Hey everybody, welcome back to Decks and Bytes. Today we're going to be talking about what Alter is doing to itself and how that is affecting the growth of the game. First, we're going to address three things that are creating a cause of concern, as well as three things that absolutely need to be fixed in order for this game to have any type of future. Before I start, I'd like to say that I absolutely love Altered TCG. It's one of my favorite games. I took a hiatus away from all TCGs for quite some time, and this was the first game that I got into once I came back, and I really enjoyed the mechanics. I absolutely loved the deck structure of 15 rares and 3 uniques, and I thought the idea of uniques was really cool. I love the artwork. I can't say enough good things about this game, and which is why I hope that this reaches enough people simply because I really do want this game to be successful because I think that it does have a future. The reality is that the biggest enemy of Altered is Altered. And to me, that's very concerning. So yeah, let's just get right into it and kind of pinpoint the things that I think are worrisome. And I think the first is the print on demand and marketplace not being operational yet. To me, that needs to be the absolute biggest focus of this game right now. I cannot tell you how many people have told me this was either the reason they were staying in the game is the promise of this, or they walked away from the game because of this. I was speaking with one shop owner that said that they had people that were really excited about this game last year. And then when December came around and the print on demand and marketplace weren't operational, they lost half of the people that played for that very reason. Now, most of the events that I go to have somewhere between 6 to 10 people that play. So pretty healthy compared to other people I've heard of only have 2 or 3 people, if that. Sometimes it's only one person that shows up. And I truly believe that the print on demand and marketplace not being operational is a big contributing factor to that. Simply because people want to be able to build decks and they want access to the cards. And yes, they can buy packs and they can purchase booster boxes but that's what everybody else does with all the other TCGs. The uniqueness of this particular TCG is the promise of the print on demand and marketplace, where if I want a card, I can purchase it. Or if I trade for a card, which I've traded for many, I've purchased many cards that I could print it on. I have many cards that I do not have access to physically simply because of the fact that the print on demand doesn't work. And so I'm not able to get access to those cards. And so I'm running one deck on Board Game Arena and one deck in Shot that I can take to events. They're not in sync because the print on demand's not operational. So I think that that needs to be the number one focus. And that's very worrisome that it's not operational yet. Another point that was made within that same little group of comments was this individual talking about how they can recover, but they need to make it fast. And so I agree with that. They're not too far gone, but if they keep on extending and every month it's an extension and every month it's another extension and every month it's another extension, if that continues on, then that kind of more and more people are leaving the game because they are not holding out any longer. The next thing is I believe to be worrisome, and I've heard other people talk about this as well, is that they listen to the community. When the community brings up a concern, they address it. We've seen that by cards getting banned or suspended or removed, etc. And so they listen to the community and they make adjustments to the game, which is great. More TCGs should do that. If other TCGs did that, there's many other players that would have never left. The fact that they stop listening is why people tend to leave. Where this becomes a negative and the concern that people have with this particular point is that people that represent the company have said, we don't want there to be a negative experience for anyone playing the game, and we want to make corrections so that their negative experiences don't happen. Unfortunately, when you have a TCG, there's always going to be better heroes than some. There's always going to be better cards than others. And the reason for that is maybe their ability, but also their consistency. And when you try to cater to every individual to ensure that not everybody has a bad experience, well, that's not realistic. And it also creates unreasonable expectations. So the fact that they have brought up about, and I've seen it from their official postings, or they bring it up on videos or whatever the case may be, where they want everybody to have a good experience. And so they want to take the feedback and make changes. That's great. That's a winning strategy if implemented correctly. Implementing it correctly is the hard part. And that's the double-edged sword where it's never going to be completely even and somebody has to lose. I listened to every media that they've released, and a lot of the changes that people are bringing up, or I've heard anything from somebody talking about how they're going to limit uniques. Well, then that takes the value away from them. 3 is like the perfect number in my opinion. 15 rares is the perfect number. Increasing that or changing the unique system, I think would be a very bad move. But if you take it from the perspective of the player that wants that, that's a negative experience. So when you try to make everybody happy, you make no one happy. And so I just hope that they stay true to themselves, stay true to the game, and go for the majority and not the minority. I heard another issue that was brought up was people having access to certain uniques and how they want more consistency with the uniques as far as the abilities and not being such a dramatic change. But the unique system itself, that's kind of the name, is that you're going to get a card that's unique, that's different than everyone else's. And I think that it's a great concept, and I think that it's been implemented really well. I just hope that they don't go to a system where they only change maybe the same ability, but just to maybe change the numbers. I think that that kind of takes away the point of the unique system. And that kind of rolls into my next point and the things that are worrisome is the power creep of uniques and the fact that there's some that are just absolutely broken in the sense of in certain decks, they make those decks extremely consistent and very strong and almost to the point where they're very hard to beat. But I like that. I'm glad that they're the deck building. We saw this with Afanis. Afanis came out, was beating everybody, and then you got to go back to the drawing board. How do I combat that? And then we saw other heroes. And if you look at the most recent events, there's a plethora of heroes that are on that list. There's not one hero that's winning over and over and over again. But the concern is not necessarily with the uniques themselves, because as I just mentioned, I like the concept. It's the fact that there's so many that are not functional at all. I've opened quite a few boxes. I've got quite a few uniques, and I've watched other people open boxes. I saw someone open 4 boxes in front of me, and they only got 1 functional unique out of 4 boxes. And so that's very kind of worrisome. I don't know the exact correction for this because I know that they're using different tools to create the unique system, but they need to create something and change the way that they maybe do it as far as the abilities go to give more functionality to the cards. Because I think all of us have seen those cards that are just, they're not playable. I mean, that's the reason why they're going for, I've seen them go as low as $3, $4, $5. And there's a price disparity between them where you have $3 and $4, $5 uniques and $300 uniques. And the reason for that is the abilities, but then also the card name. But, you know, if you open 4 boxes, you would hope to get at least half of them playable. But the issue is that the unique and the rare or the regular common even, there's not enough differential between the common, the rare, and the unique. Or maybe the rare is better. I've actually seen that where the rare was actually better than the unique. And so if you're going to have this card section and all the chase cards in that box are the uniques, I would think most people would agree that they're chasing the uniques as well as they want to fill out their rares and they want to get the commons so they can build decks. But the main hitting point when I go to any event is everybody wants a unique. No one's saying, I hope I hit these rares. It's, I hope I hit as many uniques as possible. But the issue is that you have to make them better than the commons and the rares, and especially better than the rare. They have to add value. And when they don't add value and they're just a filler, that's the concern and what's worrisome. So let's kind of shift gears into the 3 things that I think absolutely need to be fixed if they haven't already been thought of, which I'm sure they have been, but they need to be addressed as soon as possible. And the first is following through on commitments. As I said, print on demand and marketplace are not operational. That's creating concern. And the reason why that falling through on commitments is so important is the fact that people are losing faith and trust within the company, and they're losing faith and trust in the game. I've heard people that have said that this game is not going to survive the 2-year wall. Most people understand that TCGs at some point go up against a 2-year wall. And this 2-year wall either kills a game or makes them thrive. Altered has only been out for less than a year, as far as not the release of the Kickstarter, but the actual booster boxes being out has been less than a year. Because of that, people still have hope that they're in the beginning stages. They're still infinite. They're still trying to figure out. But if you continue to not follow through on your commitments, and you continue to let the community down, the people that are loyal to the community are going to no longer find value within the game. And with understanding that the European market, it seems like it's thriving. Altered is thriving in Europe, but in the US, not so much, because the US has such a competitive market when it comes to TCGs. The slightest thing could kill a game in the US. The next is they need to get more LGSs to sell and promote the product in the game. Kind of what I led off with. Everybody that I've introduced to the game has enjoyed it. They've had a good time with it. They like to play it. I can't tell you how many people I've introduced to the game. And there's even people that have came up to me and kind of approached me and said that I was selling the game to them more than their local game store was. And their local game store kind of indirectly put the game down and diverted the people away from the game and said, that game's not selling very well. We don't really have a community. So if you get into it, there's not really a place or a foundation for you to start playing the game. And so people just avoid it. So they need to really educate LGSs. And the other issue is that some LGSs, they sell it, but they don't know what it is. I went to a store and I saw that they had the product. They had Beyond the Gates, some starter decks, and I kind of just asked about it. I was just like, hey, what's that all about? Knowing what it was, I just wanted to know if they knew. And they told me, we're not really sure. It was something that we got sent to us as a promotional item. We don't really even know what this is. So when you have these stores that don't even know what the game is, they don't know how to promote it, they don't know how to play it, that's made people have a sour taste in their mouth. Or they had a community and people that were playing. Now they don't really have that community anymore existing. So that's kind of turned people away. And so if you don't get more LGSs selling the product, you don't get people educated on the game, then it's going to kind of fade out. And so that needs to be addressed. The last thing that needs to be fixed is the lack of competitive scene and kind of a pro circuit, especially in the US. One of the things that I was really disappointed with is the lack of the road shows that took place last year that didn't take place this year. You want people to be able to play it casually if they want, which I think that will always exist as long as the game continues to grow. But you also want the people that want to be more serious, that want to be more competitive, and they want to put money into the game to be competitive. You want a scene for that as well. If you don't have a competitive scene and it's just a casual game, then people see it as a board game. Hey, I'll have fun. I'll do it every now and then. I'll play, but it's not something that they're going to really pour money into and they're not really going to invest in. Now, you see over in Europe where they're having big events. They're having a lot of the marketplace is dominated by European sellers, and as well as these big events, and the European buyers are buying these cards for higher than maybe market value because they want the best cards to be competitive to play at these events. Well, in the US, we don't have that. And the reason for that is because there's no competitive scene. So I guess the bottom line of this whole thing is that the biggest enemy of Alter TCG is themselves. And if it's going to be successful moving forward, then it really has to fix some things. It has to address some things. It has to do some things better. And I understand it's at the beginning stages of development, but if you're going to take it to the next level, you have to figure it out rather quickly, especially the print on demand and marketplace. Because if you're going to make a commitment, you need to follow through with it. My biggest concern is that these issues are not going to be figured out, that the game is going to continue on the trajectory that it is, in my opinion. So I don't really know what the future is. I don't know what their plans are. But as I kind of started this off and I'll end it, is that I think this is one of the best TCGs I've ever played. I love the mechanics. I love playing it. I am very excited for the next set, and I'm very curious about what heroes are going to get a boost. I'm hoping to buy as many boxes as I can, crack them open. But the reality is that we also have to be true to ourselves and understand that we as a community and the designers need to refocus and really think about where they're at and maybe pivot and shift on some things. So just let me know below what you guys are thinking. If you think my points are valid, if you don't think they're valid, I'd love to hear your feedback, have a conversation about it. I'm completely open. I may be absolutely wrong on every single point I made, that the developers are not doing anything to sabotage the game, that the game is absolutely in an amazing place, and that the 2-year wall has zero concern. But yeah, just let's have a conversation. Let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one.